look, they keep playing teams that are at least they're equal. And are they a bit of a bully who, if you stand up to them in the postseason, they go down? By the way, that doesn't sound like a very nice thing that the Yankees would like said about them, that they've been like bullies for the last 8 years.
Hello and welcome to the Pinstripe Post. My name is Ryan Sampson. I'm the host and producer of the show. He's the star of the show, Joel Sherman. Today is Tuesday, February 24th. The Yankees are in the midst of spring training, and we haven't catched up with Joel in a little bit here. And Joel is somewhere in Florida. I don't know where he is right now, but I know he's somewhere in Florida. He's out covering all the baseball world right now. He's been going from Mets to Yankees camp. He's doing it all for us at the New York Post, and we appreciate him as always for making some time for us. Joel, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm in my hotel room in Tampa. Just got back from Dunedin. The Yankees played against the Toronto Blue Jays. The Yankees sent a lot of their A players to play today, position-wise. The Blue Jays did not counter with their A group. The Yankees are getting a lot of guys ready for the WBC. They leave in the next few days. Guys like Judge and Goldschmidt and Caballero and Jazz Chisholm are all play today, all play for various teams in the WBC. So they've heightened some guys' workload early, the position player workload early this spring, just to get them prepared to play games that count at least for the WBC in our country or other countries. In Jazz Chisholm's case, he's playing for Great Britain. Caballero is playing is Caballero. I forget now if he's Venezuela or the Dominican, but he's playing
I think
for
he's Venezuelan, right?
yes, I believe he's for Team Venezuela. And yeah, they've got David Bednar's going to the U.S. Harrison Cohn, who's a prospect, is going to Team Israel. They're losing a couple of coaches, Brad Osmus, Tanner Swanson. So they're very involved in this, and they're position players again. A lot of them are involved. And Mark DeRosa was on our the podcast 2 weeks ago, and he talked about the one that got away was Cody Bellinger. He very badly wanted him because of the same reason that teams wanted him, notably the Yankees, is he's such a Swiss Army knife, and in a short tournament, so easy to put him into a variety of positions and feel like you'll get good results.
Yeah, and we even heard Judge's comments about why he didn't participate in the previous World Baseball Classic because he was trying to make that free agent decision. So I wonder if Bellinger maybe was like in that same mindset, like, hey, let me focus on my.
So Scott Boras was on our podcast with John Heyman and myself yesterday, and he said that he had had plantar fasciitis last year, Bellinger, and he's working on some like new orthotics, and felt like he didn't want to go from 0 to 50 quite as quickly as he would have had to, especially and wanted to honor the idea he was doing a new contract with the team. And decided that that combination, new contract, wanting to kind of get it off well, and some foot issues last year that he wants to test out for how he moves in his footwear, kind of like kept him from making that, like he would have almost been a final positional guy who would have been added to the roster.
And real quick, Jose Caballero is actually from Panama, so I think he will
Panama,
be playing for
excuse me
Team
for not
Panama.
for
Yeah,
getting that incorrect, but he is leaving. So your double play combination, if you're the Yankees, Caballero and Jazz are both leaving. Both New York teams have interesting issues with double play combination things because Lindor can't do a lot right now because of his hamate bone surgery. The Yankees have two players who are about to leave for the tournament. But remember, some of these teams, I mean, you never know who will get through, but I'm suspecting like Great Britain might not get through or Panama might not get through to the next round. So they might be back in a few days. Whereas some of the players on the Japan, Dominican, US teams that are likely to make it into the later round probably will be they're gone, back, gone very quickly.
so, look, Joel, what's fascinating to me about the spring training is there's always, and you've told me this before, it's like, Ryan, spring training, you can't really take much from in terms of, like where this team is projected to be. You can't really say, hey, this is a team that's going to be a World Series contender or not. But you can notice things about how a team is being formulated construction wise and where they're going. From your sense right now, we know that the Yankees, by all the betting books and whatnot, they're projected to be the best team in the American League, or up there to be one of the best teams in the American League. Just from being around them a couple days now and seeing what's being put together for this Yankees roster and running back majority of what that team was in the playoffs from last year into this year with a few additions and Ryan Weathers and some bullpen pieces. What is your sense on this Yankee squad going into this season, even where it's at right now? Do you feel like this is truly has the potential to be a special team.
Yeah, Garrett Cole also in that list of players who didn't play last year who have a chance to be on that. And that's one of the early good stories from this camp. I was there when he threw his first live batting practice. I believe he had a bullpen today while the rest of us were away in Dunedin. And right now, like it's a little bit of whoa, whoa. He kept saying, I'm going to follow the science. And the science is 14 to 18 months. March 11th will be 12 months. So play it out. The earliest is May 11th. And more than likely, I would think if the Yankees need the roster spot, he'll go on the 60-day IL, which means May 24th is the first day he could come back. And look, the back end of that is 14 to 18 months. You know, the difference is between coming back May 11th or September 11th. And that's having three-quarters of the season left or about a quarter of a season left or even less. So, you know, when he comes back is it will be interesting, but the Yankees were blown away by the precision on his pitches, which is always a big deal. Coming back from Tommy John, he threw 20 pitches. It was all fastballs. It was crisp. It was 94 to 97. He feels like there's going to be more there as he goes along. You know, the guys who batted against him, namely Aaron Judge, thought it looked a lot like Garrett Cole. Uh, I asked Max Fried a question. I said, "What would it mean to your point, to get him back?" And he chuckled a little bit. And he said, "My whole answer is he's Garrett Cole." And so, like, that's a big deal, right? If they get him back. Look, Ryan, I understand. I did the podcast yesterday, and I think, as you know, I don't do like look at mentions on social media. I don't read my email. I don't listen to talk radio. I don't think any of it's good. But you know, if you do what I do, things will get to your ear. And I guess there was disappointment or furor to some degree that I said I think the Yankees are going to be good this year. Uh,
Who gave you flack for that?
well, you know what's interesting? There was an executive who works for a non-New York team who's from New York, and he said, and he just sent me a text and said, "Oh, I see you're getting beat up." And I said, "I do like I do so many things. I do the podcast, I do the webcast, I do TV, I write for our online, I write for the newspaper." I said, "Which thing?" And he said, "Oh, that you said, you know, John said that he was disappointed the Yankees didn't do more." And I was like, I don't know, like all the betting markets really like the Yankees. I kind of like the Yankees. I don't buy the narrative that they um didn't do anything this offseason because again, like I think having Jose Caballero for a whole season, having Ryan McMahon for a whole season, having David Bednar for a whole season. Jake Bird pitched today. Again, it's spring training. It's the layup line portion, but he looked good. And remember, he was a borderline all-star when they got him last year. You know, Duvall's been in this camp. They brought back Ahmad Rosario, Cole, Weathers. Like I think they've done real stuff. I think cohesion matters. Like their best teams when they were a dynasty hardly ever changed. And by the way, when they added outside stars, the kind of players that fans like Giambi, A-Rod, Randy Johnson, Gary Sheffield, they stopped winning championships. You know, it was like a unit that stayed together. And you know what always bothers me is like you're always judged by the last thing you say or wrote as if we're never critical, say in this forum. Like I spent most of the first 2 years we did this show talking about how terrible they were as a fundamental team. And like I don't think that anybody who works for the Yankees would think that that's like some level of homerism. I've certainly talked about moves I haven't liked over the years, and including players who are still on the team who I'm not big fans of. But I am like I watched. I don't want to be poisoned by what I tell you not to be poisoned by, which is like little snippets here and there. But I am somebody who does like to watch the drills, even this late into my career. And the Yankees did a bunt defense drill like 3 days ago, Ryan, and I thought it was as crisp, energetic, enthusiastic, well-run drill as I've seen the Yankees do on that kind of thing in a long time. Now, some of that has to do with cohesion. Like you don't have to do a lot of talking about where are you going to be. Like they've been together in the way that Derek Jeter used to look at Scott Brocious. He didn't have to ask him where he was going to be. They played together a lot. And I do think partially the other day, you know, I think Ahmad Rosario is a really good veteran to have on a team. He brought such energy to that drill The other guy who brought it was Max Fried, who's, just a great athlete and was very, very much not only into his rounds, but into everyone's. And I thought that, if I were watching that, I would say there goes a veteran team that's good, knows it's good, and is getting ready for the baseball season and getting better at some of the things that we've been very critical about them for multiple years. And I do think that the Yankees of the latter stages of last season were better at those things, Ryan. I thought they were a much better team over the last 2 months than over the first 4 months. I think a lot of that had to do with Ryan McMahon. Another executive who I talked to today said, like I understand when you're a self-hating fan, you could sometimes look at a guy and be like, well, he hits 200 and strikes out a lot. And I'm telling you, an executive from another team in the American League said that trade was really transformative for them last year. Not me saying that. That's a executive in the league, a top executive said that was a killer for them because you need to be able to really field that position, and they weren't doing it well.
They had a huge hole at third base, right? Like that was something that was glaring even in spring training last year, right? It was something that you had brought up repeatedly. I'd brought up. I'm like, Joel, what the heck are they doing at third? What is the corpse of DJ LeMahieu? Are they going with a 3-man rotation there? They
And,
ended up
and
going with Peraza to start a little bit. Like it was a mess. So the fact that they got it solved in the trade deadline last year, it helped. And I agree with you. Like even Aaron Boone said it going into the playoffs. They really liked their team going into the playoffs. Like they
Well,
thought
they were healthy, they
defensively,
were playing well, and they were more well-rounded than they
yeah.
had been. A lot of a lot of life is like who's in front of you, right? Like we're just about to get to the NCAA tournament, and everybody will care about what bracket they're in. And the Yankees were in a very favorable bracket in 2024. They played two AL Central teams that they were much better than and got to the World Series. Last year, they played the Blue Jays, who were at least their equal, if not better. They both finished with 94 wins. And they lost to them in the first round. And I think it was a much better team than the team that went to the World Series. By the way, so do the Yankee people. Think that so do their rivals. So I will bring up, I wrote about this a little because they were in Dunedin today against the Blue Jays. So I'll give you a little preview of the column for that will be posted at some point on Tuesday and in Wednesday's newspaper. And that was like, so you're playing Toronto, and Toronto became the latest team in the Aaron Boone era. They have played 14 postseason series in 8 years. They made the playoffs in 7 of 8 years. They've played 14 postseason series. In 6 of them, Ryan, they had the better regular season record than their opponent.
Hmm.
They are 6-0 in those series. They have played 8 other series. And in those series, the teams either had the same record, Boston and Toronto over the time, or a better record during the regular season. In those, the Yankees are 1-7. They were eliminated 7 of the 8 times. The one was a COVID year where they had 33 wins and Cleveland had 35. So it wasn't even a full season. So I've I ended up talking to executives today and I have no peace because I was like, look, they keep playing teams that are at least their equal. And are they a bit of a bully who, if you stand up to them in the postseason, they go down? By the way, that doesn't sound like a very nice thing that the Yankees would like said about them, that they've been like bullies for the last 8 years. The last time they pulled kind of an upset in the postseason is Division Series 2017. They're down 2-0 to a 100-plus win Cleveland team that had gone to Game 7 of the World Series the year before, was the best team in the American League that year. And they came back and under Joe Girardi won 3 games to 2, lost to the sign stealing Astros in 7 games in the next. And they haven't really pulled a quote unquote upset since then where they've met their thing. But I would dare say, Ryan, because I was asking other executives this question, like if you were trying to avoid that, what would you do? Like, is there some magic player out there? Like, I'll point out 2 players who I thought were key to them losing to Toronto last year. One was Max Fried. He pitched very, very poorly in his game. It was such an important swing game. I believe it was game 2, right? And he just was terrible in his game. Well, would you not have signed Max Fried, who pitched one of the most important games in the history of the Braves and won, and was top 5, I think, for the Cy Young last year, and had a great year,
It
and
was
doesn't seem
incredible for them last year. It was
like doesn't
incredible.
seem to be. So he started his game. The other guy is like, no matter if they had won or lost in the previous years, Giancarlo Stanton had really hit.
Yeah.
And then in those 4 games, I think he hit the ball well, but just didn't get hits. I mean, would you not have Giancarlo Stanton start those games based especially on his previous postseason? So I always say it is not a complete crapshoot in the playoffs, but there are many crapshoot elements to a short series. And like one of them is as great as we think the Dodgers are these last 2 years, and they are the best team. They have played 4 elimination games and they're 4-0. Like, if you played 4 elimination games against the White Sox would probably win one of them. That's just the way baseball is. The Dodgers are 4-0. Not included in that 4-0, Ryan, is the Orion Kerkering game where he throws the ball away. For the Phillies, the team they feared the most because of their starting pitching. You know, the Phillies are close to winning that game. It's a toss-up game in game 5. You never know. As bad, it's a 5-game series. The Yankees literally lost 2 games to the Dodgers as opposed to the Dodgers like out and out winning games. Like that should have been more of a series. So the Dodgers are very much a team to me, which is they have 2 ways to win. They're so good, they're going to win a lot of games, and they're just competent. And if you lose, they'll win the game. You've got to play clean and beat them. And so I think that the answer to some of this for me, Ryan, is the Yankees have to get to that point where they're a clean play. Like I think you take away some of the crapshoot if you make October about we might lose, but that's because you're better and you win, as
Right.
opposed to that we lose. And I think the Yankees have done like when they lost to the Rays in I believe that was a COVID
That was the
year.
COVID year. Yeah.
Yeah, like when they lost the Rays, I thought they as much lost that series as the Rays won it.
They tried
Like,
outsmarting the Rays, remember?
right? But they also didn't play well.
No.
They didn't play well, and I don't mean they didn't hit. It's hard to hit. This is the best pitchers in the world at the biggest pressure times. They didn't play clean. And I think some of the answer there is that. And so do I think they're getting closer to a team that can play clean baseball? I think they're better than they've been these last few years. Will that last 6 months? Will it matter when they play whoever the stand up to the bully guy is in October? I don't know. But if I were thinking about ways that they could be a better team, I don't know if it's a specific player. I don't think there's a magic bullet player out there. The I've in
What
40
do you?
years, I think
Yeah,
there's been one.
if you told me last year Ernie Clement was going to kill the Yankees and be this awesome
Yes.
postseason hero for the Blue Jays, I've been like, "What are you on, Joel? What are you smoking? Like, what do you know about
And
Ernie
and
Clement?"
and you also know, Ryan, that like if the Blue Jays get back to the playoffs this year, Ernie Clement could go 2 for 24.
Yes.
And that there's and I've done this for 40 years, and I think I've seen very, very few cheat codes in October. I literally covered the whole career of the greatest cheat code of all time in the postseason, and that was Mariano Rivera. He was. If you had him, your championship odds went up. And I remember that was at a moment of early analytics where people like, well, anyone could do this. And I'm like, not like him, they can't. Not at this time of year, not for 2 innings over and over again like this. I thought he was a cheat code. I thought Orlando Hernandez was a bit of a cheat code if you had a big game to pitch. So they had some guys in the past, but if I opened up the whole sport to you now and said, take your cheat code, I'm not even sure like the answer is Ohtani, who's been all right, but hasn't even been great in the postseason. Like the closest thing to a cheat code, Freddie Freeman has had huge, huge hits for multiple teams. Is he a cheat code? Well, they had a shot at him. Maybe that's part of the answer. They should have done whatever they can, though I don't think Freddie Freeman and his family wanted to play in New York, so I'm not sure that it would have mattered.
It's interesting
So I
stuff, man.
guess there's a number that makes you calm, right?
Right. You always have to pay, it feels like that New York tax sometimes, if you want to convince some of these players. But with that being said, Joel, I do agree with you. The reason the Yankees feel good about this roster is because, like you said, they felt strong heading into the postseason last year, that they had a team that solidified itself defensively finally. You could argue it's one of the best defensive outfields you can have with a healthy Judge, so long as that elbow and forearm are all good to go. In from right with Grisham in center and Bellinger in left. And then you have an infield right now. While Cabballero, I think, might be a slight upgrade considering Volpe was a tough watch at shortstop, but we knew he was dealing with the shoulder
I think
injury.
it's an upgrade.
It's an upgrade, right? And then
Because
McMahon's
I
a go.
watched him play shortstop again, and he just, It's like one of these things is I never pretend to be a scout, but I've watched thousands and thousands of games now, and my mind's eye goes to what guys look like at a position. So, like, if I was a Met fan, and again, it was the first week of a new thing, I, I don't think Bo Bichette looked like a third baseman when I was watching him early. Now he's a dedicated guy, a talented guy, and he's got a bunch of weeks to do it better. I don't think Jazz Chisholm ever looked like a third baseman. He was so quick twitch that he made some spectacular plays there, but it never was the movements of a third baseman. Ryan McMahon moves like a third baseman. Jose Caballero looks like a shortstop. Like the way that Volpe has to be full force to get every ball across the diamond, it's easy for Caballero. He has such an easy shortstop arm. Now, can Jose Caballero play 140 games at shortstop where you don't feel like the more you see it, the less you like it? I'd be curious about that. Uh, he was not an expensive player. He was a very talented player. He was worth a couple of wins above replacement every year. And the Rays, who should be loving that kind of player, said, "Why don't you take him?" And so maybe the Rays have made bad trades. Like they don't get them all right. And so maybe they gave the Yankees somebody who's really going to help them over a full season. But I am curious to see it. And I think he's going to play the first 30, 40 games of the season at shortstop. We'll see if he could consistently do that for a first division team in a market like our market, Ryan.
Yeah, and I think it's something Yankees fans forget about, Joel, is just how important defense was for the Yankees last year in improving it. And it's something you touched on when they first made their pivot from Juan Soto. It's like, well, now we're getting Judge in right field, so that's an upgrade defensively. Trent Grisham, they believe in center field wise. We saw he can play center field well defensively, even though we have questions about effort and whatnot and loathing on some fly balls, but he's still considered mostly as a good center fielder. Bellinger, you could put him anywhere, but left field, he showed he could handle that. The Yankees improved from 2024 to 2025 defensively. That
No
wasn't a
doubt.
question mark, it felt like, Joel, really much for the Yankees in 2025. So carrying that over into 2026, it's going to be, I think, that stabilizing force that you're talking about, where it's not so much a question of we're running the same lineup out there. We feel good defensively, though, no matter who's on the mound.
I got to see more of it. I would be uncomfortable with Ben Rice at first base. And
Okay.
so like I have not, he slept wrong early in camp and yesterday, Monday, he got into a game for the first time, but only as a DH. I saw him that morning and I was just chit-chatting with him. He didn't know yet the first day he's going to play the field, but he's certainly doing the drills every day. The Yankees believe he could get to major league average because they believe in the work ethic and the players so much. We'll see. Like that's a big issue. Now Goldschmidt's around to play the late innings if they want to go that way. And Ryan, I just think the place they have, and there's a lot of volatility here. But to me, the place that they could be almost as good or better than anyone is the rotation. There is a pathway to a top five rotation in the major leagues. Will they get on that pathway? I don't know. But like, I think Max Fried is in his prime and is a, top 15 pitcher in the sport. If Garrett Cole is healthy and 90% of Garrett Cole, he's a top 20 pitcher, starting pitcher in the sport. Cam Schlittler, what we saw for a third of the season last year, could he do that for a full season? Right? Luis Heel, for the first half of the 2024 season, was one of the better pitchers in baseball. Ryan Weathers is a interesting piece to sculpt because there's so much there. Can they get it out of him? And I haven't even mentioned Carlos Rodon, who for the past 2 years has been a top 25 starter in the major leagues. And to his gritty compliment for a guy we had some real questions about, especially after that first year, he couldn't even straighten his arm last year by the end of the year, and he pitched through the end of their season as best he could. He was another guy who didn't pitch well in the postseason, but he kept taking the ball. And I think he's now proven like he can handle New York. And if you're suddenly asking Carlos Rodon if Schlittler, Cole, and Fried are a 1, 2, 3 at a high level, and Carlos Rodon is your number four starter, like I just think they have a shot. Now, will they get there? I don't know. Rodon's coming off of elbow surgery. They think they're going to get him back about the third week of April, maybe the first of May. We'll see. Cole's coming back from Tommy John. Some people come back like Justin Verlander, who won the Cy Young Award after missing a whole season. And some people come back like Sandy Alcantara, who had a 5+ ERA last year after missing a whole season. Who will Cole be? I don't know. I believe in that guy. I believe in his passion and his baseball brain to be able to make up some things that other people maybe can't in the way that Verlander did. Like I would believe in his baseball passion and brain. Does Cole do it? Does Clark Schmidt come back in the second season? Max Fried had a big workload last year. So did Schlittler. So did Warren. Luis Heel hasn't looked like that first half 2024 guy now for more than a year. Who can he get back there? Was that an aberration? Or was that a guy who's in there and can they get back to that? He was starting World Series games 2 years ago. And so they have a lot of, and by the way, they really love LeGrand and they really love Elmer Rodriguez, who are kind of like locked and loaded as sometime probably after June 1, if they need another guy, can they go get him? You're always kidding yourself if you think you have starting pitching depth because you're always just remember at this time last year we were doing shows on what are they going to do about Stroman? He's the sixth starter. And he turned out to be like the third starter by the time they started the season because they had to put three guys on the IL. The Braves have some trouble already. They have two key guys. They already had some guys on the IL. They've added two this spring training. You're a bad week away from going from too much to way too little. But I do think they have right now a pretty good quantity of quality potential. And if there was a road from here to the Canyon of Heroes, a way to win that series that they haven't won, to beat the Dodgers, if that's the last team standing in the National League, it's going to be because to me, they're able to start Fried, Cole, Schlittler, Rodon, and feel like, sure, you want to start Yamamoto, Glasnow, Otani, like name your four. The Yankees would feel good about that against anybody if those guys are right. Is the chance of that 2-10, 3-10? It's not great, but they have a lot to throw at the wall. And it's mostly, I would say, aside from Will Warren, it's all potentially very high end. And Warren might be a valuable guy again, just making third, who pitched today against the Blue Jays. He just might be a valuable guy again to have a 4.5 ERA and make a lot of starts.
I was going to say, who's to say Will Warren can't improve from last year and be a
Yeah,
better
he's trying
pitcher
to
this year?
change the side he's pitching from the mound to try to do better against lefties. They've talked a lot to him about the psychology that he failed at last year, which was to shut down big innings, to accept one or two runs but get out of it. Keep giving your team a chance so you know what it is. It's the better teams beat him up, lefties beat him up, big innings got him. Like those six or seven starts that really messed him up last year would have messed up what was an impressive first full season for
Mm.
him, just for its durability. Like he has gone to school on it. And like if he got 10% better, which is certainly within reason, he's a really, really good number four starter.
Yeah, and he was so valuable for them being able to take that ball every fifth day, like you
Yeah.
said last year. Joel,
And can I just repeat that? But like the chances that it all goes well is way under
for
50%.
you're talking about that reach that true potential for the
Yeah,
starting
that's
rotation.
that's like, Rodon comes back May 1st, Cole comes back June 1st. They're both really good. Fried gets through another injury-free season. Schlittler's the guy for 6 months what he was for 2 months. Like, if that's what they are on October 1st going into the playoffs, I mean, I think they're going to be the favorites to get to and maybe even win the World Series. But like, will that happen? I don't know. Is that 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10? For those who can't do math, I'm saying it's 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. It doesn't happen. But it's better to not be looking for high-end guys at this time of year, and it's better not to be looking for quantity at this time of year. Today, and again, this could go away quickly. Today, they have some quantity because I haven't even mentioned Yarborough and Blackburn,
No.
who are going to get folded into the bullpen if everyone's healthy, but can start major league games as legitimate number six, like good number 6 and 7 starters, which means not great, but like better than most teams' sixth and seventh options or seventh and eighth options.
Joel, it feels like so much, and I know we're changing subjects here because I think the rotation will be important. It's something we're going to pay attention to, and especially with getting those key guys back and seeing how their impact is. But going back to the lineup, feels like so much of this Yankees lineup is going to be based upon if Trent Grisham can be even 80 to 85% of Trent Grisham from last year, because he's going to be the leadoff guy by all intents and purposes, you would say, especially versus good right-handers, right-handed throwers. I, am I crazy to think like, listen, you gave him the idea to tender him the 1 year deal, and he accepted it, the qualifying offer, and now it's a matter of can he go out there and show that he can do it again? And the Yankees lineup needs him to be at least 80 to 85% of Trent Grisham from last year.
Yeah, though if he's not, that's where you might see Jasson Dominguez or Spencer Jones get a shot. I still think there's a 2020 player in Jasson Dominguez, and if his nickname wasn't the Martian and the Yankees had a prospect who you could literally see being a 2020 guy, how many 2020 guys have they produced over the last 20 years, especially outfielders who are not named Aaron Judge? It's not a long list. I think that's within his capabilities. He just turned 23 a couple of weeks ago. He's still young. So like I think they do it. And again, Ryan, one of the things I always try to point out is, and I always say it so that people know I'm not like cribbing the work of others. I try to talk to a lot of scouts and executives who are not Yankee employees so that you get like it's a little bit like when Yankee fans are like, "Oh, this sucks." It's something like, like every uh, project model online or by a casino, as you pointed out, has the Yankees right there, either number one or two or three with Seattle and Toronto in a very small bucket for the best teams in the American League. None of those are Yankee employees. None of them cover the Yankees. They kind of are like they need to be as unbiased as possible. And look, they get them wrong. Like the Blue Jays were picked to finish last in the AL East last year. They did finish last in the AL East the year before in 2024. They made a stunning reversal that the markets didn't see. And that will happen again. There'll be teams we think are good, like we thought the Mets were good last year, who won't be. And there'll be teams that we don't think are good who will make a run towards 85 or more wins. But these markets think the Yankees are good. And the reason I bring up is executives I talk to about the Yankees do their offense as a given. They're like, the Yankees are going to be a top five offense. They're going to score among the five most runs in baseball. Now, part of that is if you have Aaron Judge, it's hard not to, right? And if you keep now you add Bellinger. Now, if the more days Stanton is healthy and like he's healthy right now, how many you get? There's big belief that Ben Rice is a legit guy. Well, that's four middle of the order guys. That's probably about 140 homers right there, or more than certain teams will have this year, with those four guys relatively healthy. So I think that like could the difference between extra, extra good and really good be that Trent Grisham is repeatable? Sure. Yeah. Hit
Like
30.
I guess the reason I asked too is because, and I think again, this is Yankees fantasy land we always live in, is like, Trent Grisham, we're bringing it back. This guy never lived up. He only had that 1 year wonder. I think Yankees fans forget Trent Grisham was really good late in games too for the Yankees. I remember him
Yeah,
having a
big
lot of
hits last
clutch,
year.
a lot of big clutch hits for them.
Like we just watched Framber Valdez have a lot of trouble getting a contract commensurate with a guy whose track record looked a lot like Max Fried, who got the most ever for a left-hand pitcher over 8 years. Valdez didn't. One of them was Trent Grisham hit a grand slam off of him, and then the next pitch, Framber Valdez, to all intents and purposes, seemed to purposely cross up his catcher and hit him in the chest. That, if I remember, that was a huge home run against a team they always had
Yes.
trouble beating against one of the best pitchers in the sport. I remember he had a huge one late against Atlanta. If in my mind's eye, like he had big hits last year. And Ryan, we've done a lot of shows together now. This is not my favorite player. Like, this is not a guy I would be like anxious to start a franchise with.
Right.
But center field is very hard to find. Guys who do hit for power with good walk rate. This guy had like one of the best walk rates. I think it was like 11th in the major leagues last year, walk rate in the whole sport. If you could play center field, hit homers, and draw walks, that's really good. It's really good. There's very few perfect players. The ones who do it all, like Bobby Witt, you see how they get treated, how they get paid. Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt, like Gunnar Henderson. There's not guys who do everything. You got to live. I If I've told this story before, forgive me, but it was very formative one time. I won't tell you the reporter, except for to tell you that in his time covering the in his time managing the Yankees, I thought Joe Torre truly disliked two people who covered the team with some regularity.
This is
Okay.
Joel's notebook, by the way, everyone.
Yes.
This is what I want to hear.
So, Joe, if he liked you, would begin an answer by saying Ryan, like he'd use your name. If he didn't use your name, it was like a tell at a poker table.
I'm gonna go back and watch some Joe Girardi pressers to figure out
Yeah.
who this could be.
So, somebody who covered the team, who was kind of a self-hating Yankee fan, decided to go after Bernie Williams, which was a mistake when it came to Torre. And it was just me, this person, and Torre in his office. And this was a guy he didn't like. And the guy goes, well, Bernie, he's fast, but he can't steal bases and he makes mistakes on the bases. And, like he wins gold gloves, but he doesn't really throw well. And like he doesn't get the greatest reads and jumps and, like that kind of thing. And Joe let him go. Let him go, give the whole thing. And Joe's entire answer to it was, yeah, if he was any worse, all he'd be would be the cleanup hitter on a dynasty. And I was like, right. And Joe used to say to me all the time, you don't get perfect players, you get the players you get. And then if your job as a manager is to maximize what they do
Sure.
well, position them to use it well, and protect them from what they can't do well. Because even the best players, like there are places in the strike zone, there are pitchers, like Aaron Judge has to play every day. But I bet you there's days where Aaron Boone and the hitting guys go, this isn't a great matchup for even Aaron Judge, right? Like, so you can imagine everyone who's not Aaron Judge or Juan Soto or Bobby Witt or like that handful of great players, like everyone has foibles where it's like, well, this guy hits for a low average, right? But he could defend and he could run and like very few people have all five tools. Then also five tools and durability. They play a lot. And then five tools and durability and a high baseball IQ to make the five tools really play. And the ability to be good in a clubhouse and like et cetera, et cetera. The guys who do make hundreds of millions of dollars. And so part of the art of this, it's like when people beat up, like if you say, I really think Ryan McMahon helped the Yankees. People, the self-hating Yankee fans do well, he hits 200 and strikes out too much. And I'm like, well, if he didn't, he'd make $55 million a year, right? Because he's got real power. He draws walks and he's as good a third baseman as there is in the sport. Like if he did it all, he wouldn't make 15 million, he'd make 55. And the idea is the Yankees have to protect him against the lefties he certainly can hit. Work with him as they are to try to narrow the gap from like striking out 30% of the time to striking out 27% of the time. And what would that mean for his power at Yankee Stadium? Because he's got real power. Like, can they get there? I doubt it. He's far into his career. This is probably who he is. But to their credit and his credit, they're trying. But there are very, very few, hey man, they could do it all players. And uh I it's one of the problems like the Martian has, which is he doesn't hit well right-handed, he doesn't defend well. Can he get to major league average as a defender? I watch him trying every day. He's a pretty good worker. He attached himself to Ahmad Rosario, who's a great worker. And so that was a smart play by him to do that. He's out there working. If he could get to major league average, that's pretty good because he's really good at reading a ball and strike from both sides of the plate. I think he's got real power from the left side. And if you ever watch batting practice from the right side, it's his natural side. It isn't like the ball stays in the ballpark from the right side. He could really run. He has some feel for running the bases, stealing bases. Like there, so can you use him? And this is the one that will drive it. There are qualities of Anthony Volpe that are really good. Like we've seen, like when he's good, he could steal some bases, he could hit some homers, he was defending well. A lot of that went away. So maybe whatever. And I would say that the way that the worst that happened to Jasson Dominguez was being called the Martian. The worst that happened to Anthony Volpe was that spring where he made the team to some degree because the feeling was, aha, the new Jeter or whatever. And it was like, let's pump the brakes. There's one Jeter who also did things wrong, but was like fewer than most in the history of the game. Uh, Volpe has some real holes in his game, but I think used to his best, and I think they've made a mistake how they used him. Like he should not play fully healthy 155 games. This is where having Caballero, I think, is the benefit. That right-hand pitcher with that great breaking ball, he should not start against until he proves that he has closed that hole. So maybe like if he came back this year and he was a guy who played 4 out of 6 games instead of 5 or 6 out of 6 games, you'd go, oh, I'm protecting him from what he doesn't do well. And you see more of the good stuff. And suddenly, if I don't have him against the hard pitchers, does his OPS tick up into like 725? Probably not, but it's not impossible. And I do think there are qualities. You know who else does? Other teams think there are qualities of Anthony Volpe. Most think he's a second baseman, but trust me, there are teams sitting around waiting for the day the Yankees give up on Anthony Volpe so that they could jump in, make him a second baseman who hits eighth and plays 135 games.
Why not make him the second baseman next year when Jasson walks
Hey,
in free
and by the way,
agency?
they might. Let's see if A, Caballero can handle this, or B, George Lombard begins to really close the gap between where he is now in the major leagues. But then the problem will be Lombard will have his warts. Like he's the 40th best prospect in baseball. He's not Connor Griffin. He's not Kevin McGonigal. Like those guys are at the very top of this. And so like let's see. But I do think this kind of like this Jasson Dominguez sucks. He shouldn't play in the major leagues anymore. Anthony Volpe sucks. He shouldn't play in the major leagues anymore. I think you're missing that the major leagues are hard. And if you have multiple high-end talents, it is up to your manager and management to shape a roster around you and then deploy you to the best of your ability. It is the Joe Torre lesson that day with the person he didn't like in Bernie Williams. All Bernie Williams is the cleanup hitter in a dynasty. Right. Here's all the things he can't do. It could frustrate you sometimes. I bet you it's how Knick fans feel about Karl Anthony Towns, right?
Oh,
Like
oof.
you watch all the things he can't do, and you could forget he is one of the probably 5 or 10 best shooting big men of all time.
All
He
time.
is he is second in the league in rebounding. He is a playmaking big man. Is he a winner? I don't know. I'm not covering the spoil time. I watch games, etc. But when you watch guys every day, you see the warts and you forget that every team is filled with players with warts. The teams that do the best navigate around the warts by this is when he plays. This is who he doesn't play against. This is when I pull him from the game to make sure somebody he doesn't face this guy. Oh, he's a good defender. Let's keep him on the field in big moments. That's the art of management and managing
It's a
to make all
delicate.
the
It's a
work.
it's a delicate artwork, right? It's a
And
delicate
and it,
piece to put together and figure out as you go week by week, month by
and
month.
and watch the Dodgers, who are everybody's favorite team as they should be because they've won the last 2 championships. Excuse me, I think I got sunscreen in my eye from the day today. But they use a lot of bits and pieces. Does Freddie Freeman play every day? Yeah. Does Mookie Betts play every day? Yeah. But there's a lot of Enrique Hernandez and Andy Pajas and Miguel Rojas. And it's well orchestrated by their front office to be like, this is a good defensive guy. This is the guy who hits lefties well. This is a guy who's proven he can handle our marketplace. Then Dave Roberts has got the baton like a good head of an orchestra, and he's using guys to their best advantages. And that's the Dodgers. Like even on the $400 million payroll, they have a lot of interlocking parts that have worked. And I think one of the other things they've done is they've kept the number of like bad actors off their team. They have hardworking guys, hard playing guys, and guys who accept their role.
Well, that's something we'll see if the Yankees can all join together, accept the roles, limit the mistakes that they can make, and have a good team that they feel about. And look, I feel good about this team. And I know I'm one of the few Yankee fans that feel that way just because of the whole narrative that's been going around this offseason. See how it plays out. That's all I'm gonna say.
But
I can't wait for these games to get started, Joe. I really can't.
yeah, well, we've got a long way from here to
I
there,
know.
and like there are going to be, by the way, on all 30 teams, some more injuries, unfortunately, because you always want to see the best players play. Uh, and you know how it is. It's like the difference between Aaron Judge playing 150 and 105 is huge. Uh,
Massive.
I mean, we've seen like if he plays the games, he's probably going to win the MVP.
Yep.
That's how good he is.
That's how
And
good
if
he
you
is.
and if you have the AL MVP and multiple Cy Young Award candidates, and I think they might have that again, and then you do a good job with all the pieces around it with like high quality kind of performers and clubhouse guys and guys who have good baseball IQs. Like I just think the Yankees have done better at assembling 26 guys. There's some bullpen stuff. Like if I were a betting man and you told me by July 31st, uh, Jeremy Estrada of San Diego, and I don't even want to go through the
Yeah,
names.
no,
Look, Lucas Ursig of Kansas City, like guys who I think could move in this marketplace kind of situation. Yankees are going to get one of them. Like Yankees are in. Like I know, oh, they don't spend enough. They're in. They're in. And I think if we had their executives here on Truth Serum and we said, what do you think? They'd say, yeah, we're a bullpen guy short right now. We're going to see if Jake Bird, who we thought was going to be one of those answers last year, does it. If kind of like some of the stuff we're working on, to keep Duvall in the strike zone is working, does it. They really like Brett Hedrick, but know that he's had a lot of health problems and doesn't have a track record. Can he do it as a power lefty? Like they might find some Clay Holmes-ish answer internally, but I think they're also not delusional. They know those are stuff. And if they were all sitting here, they'd probably say, yeah, if you could put a lot of money on if we're going to get one of the better bullpen guys between now and July 31st, we probably think we're a bullpen guy short right now. And they were trying to get it. And by the way, maybe they'll get it before March 25th.
We don't know. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's still some roster gymnastics and decisions, like you said, they're going to be trying to figure out as they go through this rest of
I
this
think they're definitely going to try to get a right-hand hitting outfielder before it's all said. That would be
outfielder or catcher.
outfielder.
Okay,
I think the bigger question with the catcher, Ryan, is do they take two, Wells and Rice, or do
right.
they take three? Because I think they would like Goldschmidt to start against all the lefties at first base, but they then would like Rice to catch against a good deal of the lefties
Really?
so that they both, because I think they think it's important for 2026, because I think they think Rice is such a good hitter. First of all, he had about a 480 slugging percentage off of lefties last year. He hit low, but slugged. They think he's going to get better against lefties, and they think it's important for 2026 and his future. So I think he's going to play a lot against lefties. The question is that at first base or do they mix in the catching? I think that's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
Uh, because as confident as he is as a catcher, I think even some of their people would say his greatest strength is his framing. Like most people in the Yankee organization, they've populated the sport with outstanding framers. Narvaez and Trevino and Luis Terrens, etc. Like everyone, Higashioka, everyone who's Alex Jackson, like they have a ton of guys out there who came through their program. They have some guys in their minor leagues who are well regarded. They all frame well. Be curious with ABS if what framing means this year. Though I saw 10 pitchers challenged today, and the umpire was wrong on 8 of them. Uh, I thought Enrico Palazzo was the umpire today. Go watch some movies if you don't get it.
Hey,
Uh,
it's Enrico
but
Palazzo.
yeah.
It's one of my
But
favorites.
anyway, uh, I think they're comfortable with all left-hand hitting catchers more than they are about not having a righty complement for Grisham.
For Grisham, especially if they put Dominguez in AAA to start the season.
I think they're going to do that because if I think that if they thought Dominguez would hit lefty pitching, they'd find enough at bats every week for him to try to keep him sharp and at least begin the season that way. I think it's going to be hard to feel that confident in him. I think the best thing for him without injury is to go to AAA, so that he does see if he's in the major leagues, like let's say hypothetically, Stanton gets hurt.
Hmm.
He would probably be next up right now, right? Like
Right.
Spencer Jones isn't probably next up. He's next up. So he'd play, but they probably still not try not to play him against
A tough lefty.
lefty.
Yeah.
So like in the way that I'm talking about, they want to play Rice against lefties for the growth
Right.
because they think there's impact now and growth that will help them in 27, 28, 29, 30 for Rice in trying to win games right now, I don't think they see enough out of Dominguez. So, like, I think some more development stalls here. Like, I know that there's a lot of people who think it's a death knell for a 23-year-old who is a year and a half younger than Spencer Jones to go to the minor leagues. And I don't, because I think he could be a 2020 guy. And I think one of the ways to get to be a 2020 guy as a average left fielder, which has value and you have a nice long career and you probably make 80 to 120 million dollars in your career if you do it in the right years, is go to the minor leagues and play every day. There'll be two left-handed starters. There'll probably be a lefty reliever in the game every day. You'll see 12 to 15 real lefty at bats a week. Plus, you'll play left field every day. You'll work on the stuff that you're trying to work on. I don't think it's a death knell. I think that there's an opportunity still there for him, Ryan, to be a good major league player, but not the Martian, you know? And that, if that means that he's a failure, then he's a failure. But like a 2020 player in the major leagues who has a 740 OPS and could be an okay left fielder usually ends up with a nice long career and has value on good teams. And I don't think it's out of his reach to do that. And I think the easiest way, the most logical way for me to see that happening is 150 plate appearances in the minor leagues where he showed, see, I got to 12 to 15 plate appearances against lefties. I am a natural right hand hitter. Now that I've seen a bunch of them, I'm doing much better. All the work I put in off season and in spring training, working on reading the ball better, which is what he's doing. He's trying to, from what I could tell and from the people I'm talking to, instead of bolt movement to try to read the ball, then move because he has good closing speed. They felt he was making a lot of first step mistakes. They're like, don't make the first step until you know, and then use your great closing speed on it. Can he do that to become an average left fielder? Can that become part of who he is? Because he does have good closing speed. But he often takes bad routes and starts left when he needs to go right. Can he learn? I'm not like Cody Bellinger, who off the, or by the way, you again, when people like crap on Trent Grisham, off the bat, Trent Grisham's one of the best readers of a ball you'll see. Like he knows where it's going. It's one of the reasons he looks smooth and gets there. Is like, wow, he's not trying. Oh, he caught it. Is because he could read it off the bat. Uh, it is not a asset of Jasson Dominguez to read it off the bat. So they're trying to get him to be, because you have closing speed, you can go still go get it, but you
Right.
have to be moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Go get it. So whatever that nanosecond of recognition of is, oh, it's over my head, go. It's in front of me, go. It's left, go. And so far, I've seen one time this spring where he did it exceptionally well. There was a ball lined to his right that he did not break like that. And you'd think, well, that ball's going to get by him down the line to the whatever. And he caught it easy because he didn't make a misstep. And then he had good closing speed to go get it. In fact, he closed so much that instead of catching it outside his body, he caught it here. That's how much he closed on a ball I thought was going to beat him down the line. So can he do that over and over and over again, which is what good major leaguers do? I don't know. But I think his best chance to do it is to go to AAA and play.
Yeah, there's also a comfortability you want to see from him too. I think you see it, like you said, with Grisham, you see it with Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge. There's a comfortability of reading the ball, reacting to the play, understanding where you're going to go with it, how you're going to catch it, if it's going to be a tough play or it's going to be an easy play. So those are
You
all
know, if
things.
anyone has it in their mind's eye, like Andrew Jones just got elected to the Hall of Fame. I don't think there was anyone in the history of the game. Him and Devon White were the two greatest readers of a baseball off the bat I've ever seen. Like you just sit there and go, "Oh my God, they're playing so shallow," and then they all of a sudden because they were moving with the ball and the swing of the bat and the anticipation. They'd be standing on the warning track, camped. Forget about running full speed like other people. They'd be camped and catching the ball. And you'd be like, that's an optical illusion. How did that happen? Well, he went to his Hall of Fame. That's how it happened. There's people who have rare skills, but they don't have all of them.
They don't. Joel Sherman, that's a show. That's a heck of a
Yep.
job, man. We appreciate you as always for hopping on here, giving us all your insight. We're looking forward to your coverage as you continue to go throughout spring training. I know you're going to be helping out with the World Baseball Classic as well, which is going to be fun to
I'm
cover.
leaving for Arizona in 2 days. There's World Baseball Classic press conferences in Arizona on the second and third. I believe in a couple of those days they're playing some exhibition games. And am I right? Is the tournament like the begins the 5th to the 10th or the 6th to
Yep.
the 10th, right in there? And then the semifinals and finals are the 15th and the 17th in Miami. So yeah, I look, we just saw it with the U.S., both the women and the men's hockey team. When it's your country, people really get into it. And I think if the U.S. and Japan end up on a collision course again, like they did last time, and then have a Hollywood ending where Trout is trying to get a hit off of Ohtani, I think that's a really great story. And I hope we get to a great story.
Me too, Joel. We appreciate you, man, and we're looking forward until the next time we catch up to you. Thanks as always.
All right. I always appreciate it, you, Ryan, and everybody who watches us.